Omakyana Timandasya Chinansana Shlakaya Sakshunvitam Yena Tasmai Shilove Namah Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So we have now arrived at text 5 of the nectar of instruction. This is also a very important verse. In the previous verse, we have learned about the 6 loving exchanges between devotees. Now, what Prabhupada has written in the last purport, that the last sentence, in the next verse, Srila Rupa Goswami informs us what kind of Vaishnava should be selected as a friend and how Vaishnavas should be served. So, in Prabhupada repeats this principle in the first line of the next purport. In order to intelligently apply the 6-fold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. So to properly relate to devotees, we must know who is on what level, and according to their level, we adopt our way of dealing with them, and that's very important. Otherwise, we will make offenses. We will we will get away from. We will not be able to apply Vaishnava culture, Vaishnava etiquette, and it will also not become conducive for spiritual advancement. You cannot reveal your mind in confidence to a neophyte if you are 20 years in the movement. That you cannot do. That you can reveal your mind to equals or those who are more advanced. So this principle is very important. I remember Bhakti Maharaj instructed his disciples, at least he instructed me. He said, in this movement, you should take guidance from all those who are more advanced than you. But that implies that one must know one's own level of advancement and be able to ascertain the advancement of others. So this is important. Otherwise, one cannot function properly. Those who are more advanced are spiritual masters. What's the level of a spiritual master? That will all be explained in this text 5 of Nectar of Instructions. And when I traveled with Prahlad Maharaj Brahmachari, he used to give a seminar of 3-4 sessions only on this Nectar of Instruction text 5. So it's so important that if we want to cultivate proper relationships between devotees, we must be able to apply this verse here. So we will read this verse. Krishneti yasagiri tamman manasa adriyeta dikshastishat pranatibis sabajantamisham susrusaya vachanavishyam ananyam anya nindadisunyaritimitsita sankalapya. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna, and one should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation diksha and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So 3 levels, 3 different ways of dealing. The first level is honor mentally. The second level is offering obeisances, and the third one, the third way of with the third level and the highest level, we should serve the devotee. So now we will go to the purport. But we will also go to the Bhagavatam to study these 3 levels of devotees more deeply. So we have here on the screen. I will first start reading. In order to intelligently apply the 6-fold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore advises that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way according to their particular status. In this verse, it tells us how to deal with 3 types of devotees: the kanistha adhikari, the madhyam adhikari, and uttam adhikari. The kanistha adhikari is a neophyte who has received the Harinam initiation from the spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. So that's most of us. At least I'm in that category. We received initiation and we try to chant the holy name of Krishna. So one should respect such a person within his mind as a kanistha Vaishnava. A Madhyamadikari has received spiritual initiation from the spiritual master and is being fully engaged by him in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Madhyam Adhikar should be considered to be situated midway in devotional service. So here we must be careful. Yes. A Madhyam Adhikar is fully engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. You may be fully engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord and preaching. It does not mean you are a Madhyamadikar, but you are acting as a Madhyamadikar. Are 2 different things, and that causes many times confusion with devotees. That it's not because you are acting as a Madhyam Adhikar that you are on the level of a Madhyam Adhikar. The Madhyam Adhikar we will learn here is someone who is on the liberated platform. He has finished Anartha Nivritti. Is liberated. Yes, he has not completed yet self-realization. They are still to go to Paramatma realization and Bhagavan realization after liberation. But that's a big misconception. Acting as a Madhyamadikar and being on the level of a Madhyamadikar are two different things, and we will learn that more deeply. So the Madhyamadikar should be considered to be situated midway in devotional service. And then the Uttam Adhikar, on the highest devotee, is one who is very advanced in devotional service. An Uttamadikar is not interested in blaspheming others. His heart is completely clean and he has attained the realized state of unalloyed Krishna consciousness. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, the association and service of such a Mahabhagavat or perfect Vaishnava are most desirable. We will see the kanistha adhikari, it thinks I'm a devotee, and the uttamadhikari thinks I'm not a devotee, I'm the most foul. So that's quite contradictory, their inner mood that a Mahabhagavat, an uttamadhikari thinks all the others are devotees, but I'm not yet a devotee. But now this is a summary of these three categories. Now we will go study their characteristics factually, go deeper into it. And so, but Srila Prabhupada gives here first a summary of these three stages, and of course this is based because we have nectar of devotion. For our nectar of devotion is a summary study of nectar of devotion, and nectar of instruction, as we said before, it's a summary of the nectar of devotion, the essence in 11 verses. So these verses are very important. If we don't grasp the understanding of these verses and this purpose, then we don't really are in touch with the essence of the process of devotional service. And making advancement in spiritual life will be difficult, but this knowledge helps us how to act and make quickly spiritual advancement. So now we will look more deeply to the kanistha adhikar. One should not remain a kanistha adhikar, or one who is situated on the lowest platform of devotion service and is interested in worshipping the deity in the temple. And then a verse is described from the 11th canto. That's Havir Yogendra, King Nimi. Havir Yogendra is one of the 9 Yogendras, sons, Paramamsa, sons of King Rishabhadev, who were visiting King Nimi. And King Nimi asked them questions, one question to each of the Navak Yogendras. And he asked to Havir Yogendra explain the levels of devotees. And so Havir Yogendra, he answers in 3 verses describing the 3 types of Vaishnavas. And the first type, the kanistha, is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 11 to 47. And that is what we will start discussing today. We will discuss the kanistha adhikar. Acharyam evaharaye pucham ya shradayate natad bhakteshu sanyasu sabhakta prakita smitaha. So a devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people in general is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. That so this is important to understand who is a kanistha adhikara, and here we see another term for kanistha is used, prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee. That is a devotee who have still material desires, many anarthas in the heart. That and because of his ignorance, he cannot understand who is advanced, who is not advanced, and therefore makes offenses toward devotees. It's not behaving properly, it is said. That, but he has faith in the deity and performs deity worship. That so yes, someone may say a Madhyamadikari is second initiated, and he can worship the deity. But it's not because you are second initiated in ISKCON and you can worship the deity, you are a Madhyamadikari. No, that would be good. That you are not yet a Brahman, but the spiritual master sees that you have the qualities. You are developing the qualities of a Brahman, or you are surely developing these qualities. And then the spiritual master decides to give you second initiation. There's a good chance you will become a Brahman in the future, because you have some qualities coming up of a Brahman. And that, of course, a Brahman must know the scriptures and so on. That Sam Tabas you have all these qualities of a Brahman mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. That is, he controls his senses, that he's, he's honest, straightforward, that knows the religious principles and so on. That in ISKCON, to get second initiation today, you must have Bhakti Shastri, because a Brahmin must know the scriptures. That, but of course, formally, that came up in ISKCON in the 90s, the second part of the 90s at the end. That was discussed by the GBC, and first that was introduced in Europe, and then it came all over the world. That that for second initiation you must have Bhakti Shastri knowledge of the scriptures and so on. But before that was not really the case. My god sister Saraswati, she's from Holland, and Guru Maharaj in the 90s came to Belgium, and she got first initiation, but Guru Maharaj wanted to give her wanted to give her second initiation, and Bhakti Guru Maharaj was testing her. He asked, what are the characteristics, the qualities of a Brahman? He asked Saraswati. And Saraswati said, I don't know, Guru Maharaj. And Bhakti Charamaj replied, your reply is very honest to the quality of a Brahman. I will give you second initiation. But today it's a little more complicated. But it's not that you will get second initiation that you are a Brahman. We are still kanisthas. So a kanistha worships the deity in the temple, but does not behave properly towards the devotees because it doesn't know who is on what level. Now we will go to this purport to understand this more deeply. Srila Madhvacharya comments that one in the lower stage of devotional service faithfully worships the deity in the temple, but is not aware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually all pervading. That, yeah, so he has still to become really Krishna conscious. That is because that is part of the process of devotional service. If we go to the 4th chapter of the Gita, Tatvinapanapadna Parapashna Siva Pratiksateteham Shanyas Tatvadakshina. So one should learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire for him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So if you engage, that's the relationship with the spiritual master. You inquire for him, you serve him, humble, and then you start to make spiritual advancement. But it takes a while to make a little advancement. So it says in the next verse, Yat Yatvana Pranamam Evan Yasyasi Pandava Yena Bhutani Ashisa Bhakshasi Atmatyatomai. Having obtained knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into illusion. For by this knowledge you will see all living entities are but part of the Supreme. In other words, that they are mine. So you start to see all living entities connected with Krishna. And that Krishna is in every atom. But that doesn't, one does not become Krishna conscious like that one day after another. It's a process, it takes time. And the kanistha is in the beginning of this process. If one practices that for 30 years, one may come close to adhikara. So this process is a very large scale with this. Some are beginning kanishtas, and you have those who are nearly graduated after 30, 40 years or something. So it's a big, one can say that there are factually sub-levels on this kanistha. And the beginning level, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvidya bhajanti mam yechana sugataryana artashikna shachtarti jnanisa bharatak sabha. So 4 beginning devotees with material, who are materialistic. This is kanistha, beginning of the kanistha. Those who want wealth, those who want knowledge, those who are curious, those who want to be free of distress, and then you have the jnanis, those who want the absolute truth, like the 4 Kumaras were jnanis in the beginning. And those who are in distress is like Kajendra was in distress. Those who aren't well of Dhruva Maharaj was in that category. And those who are curious, the sages of Namisaranya, these are the examples given. That so all beginners. And if you look, when we come to this movement, we come with some of these 4 expectations. That we are not coming to this movement usually with the pure desire to only serve Krishna and forget myself. No. So that's the beginning stage of kanistha. And that so this is very important to understand. I remember 5 years ago we asked in the Ministry for Sannyas, the sannyas candidates, and we asked, on what level are you? Are you a kanistha, madhyam, or uttam? Where are you in the stages of devotional service, from shraddha to sadhu sangha, bhajana, kriya, anartha nivritti, which is these 4 stages are the stages of the kanistha, the beginner. Yes. Once you come to nishtha, you are liberated. That's the Brahman. That's the madhyamadikar. I repeat for what it means. The sadhu sangha means association of devotees. But before this shraddha, you have some faith, and then you read Bhagavad Gita, you come to associate with devotees, sadhu sangha. You learn from them bhajana kriya, how to perform devotional service, and you take initiation. And then your bhajana kriya, your practice becomes steady. First, it's unsteady. You don't chant 16 rounds every day from the first day. You may struggle with following the 4 regulative principles. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kanambini gives 6 stages of 6 forms of unsteadiness. But then you become steady. Every morning you go to the morning program and you chant your rounds, you follow the regulative principles. And then you must learn to give up your offensive mentality. And when you give up when you are steady and you are gradually giving up your offensive mentality, then you enter anartha nivritti, the heart becomes purified. And that's a long process. But then you have the higher stages. That's the madhyamadikar. He's liberated. He gets ruchi, taste, and finally enters asakti, feels Krishna's presence in the heart every moment. And then bhava, it's the preliminary states of love of Godhead. And then prema, love of Godhead. So these are the 9 stages of devotional service, and we ask the sannyas candidates on which level you are. And somewhere saying, yeah, sometimes I'm in bhava, sometimes I'm in asakti. Others said, yeah, I'm in anartha nivritti, but sometimes I'm in. I feel some taste that. So I'm going between these 2, and anyway, we get so many answers. And then Prahlad Maharaj gave this course and is explaining what I'm going to explain you. And those who are in bhava and prema, they slowly came down to anartha nivritti. They're degraded. So, but that's embarrassing because sannyasis must be able to explain this process and help others to understand it. If they themselves are confused about it, what are they going to teach? That, so this is very important, not only for sannyasis, but for every devotee, that we understand these points. That, so the kanistha adhikara, that he cannot really understand yet that Krishna is all-pervading, that he does not see others as spirit soul, but sees still the covering, that and therefore he makes offenses. So it is said here, Prabhupada writes here in the purport, in the, well, this is in the 11th canto, but I think it's Prabhupada's purport, that because he commented on this verse, on these verses many times, these 3 verses. That, but yeah, it said here, the same mentality can be seen in the Western countries, where people commit all types of sinful activities in their homes and in the street, but then piously go to church and pray to God for mercy. Actually, God is in our home, God is in the street, God is in our office, God is in the forest, God is everywhere, and therefore God should be worshipped everywhere by the process of devotional service at His lotus feet. So that's important. God sees you. That, yeah. As stated in verse 41 of this chapter, Kam vayom machnim salalam maim sha, shotimsi satvani di shudrumadin, sarit samudram sahare sariram, yatkim sabutam pranamet ananya. The devotee should not see anything as being separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Ether, fire, air, water, earth, the sun, and other luminaries, all living beings, the direction, trees, and other plants, the rivers and oceans, whatever a devotee experiences, he should consider to be an expansion of Krishna. Thus, seeing everything that exists within the creation as the body of the Supreme Hari, the devotee should offer his sincere respects to the entire expansion of the Lord's body. This is the vision of the Mahabharata devotee. So that's the Uttamadikar. So this is vision. But the beginning devotee does not have that vision. That and the Madhyamadikar, the one between, he has that vision through knowledge. He can see through knowledge. We will read this. Srila Madhvacharya states, so Madhvacharya is one of the commentators on the Bhagavatam. There are many others, and especially there is Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, which is, yeah, which was living in the 1700s, related to Narottam Das Thakur. And but there were other commentators from Sridhar Swami's 11th century. That's the first commentator, we say, on the Bhagavatam. That and we have Madhvacharya, which is between, but we have also Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami. They also commented on the Bhagavatam. So many beautiful commentaries. So, but Srila Madhvacharya states that the Madhyamadikara devotee in the intermediate stage sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes, and therefore offers his love to the Lord. So the Madhyam sees four categories. He sees the Lord and develops love for the Lord. But he understands who is a devotee, and he cultivates friendship with the devotees. And he sees those who are ignorant and tries to preach to them. And he avoids those who are envious, the atheists. So he has different dealings with different categories. And we may be a kanistha, but we should act in that way as a madhyam, and understand that we have to develop love for Krishna. We develop friendship with the devotees. We have heard about the 6 loving exchanges in the previous verse. We preach to the innocent, and we stay away from the atheists, of those who are envious. Therefore, in the purport here, these 4 dealings with these 4 categories of the Madhyama adhikara are mentioned. So first, for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he offers his love. For the devotee, he is a friend to the other devotees. He is merciful to the ignorant and avoid the atheist. Nonetheless, tattva sattvam najanati sarvasya jagato pitu. His realization of the all-pervading feature of the Supreme Lord is imperfect. So the Madhyama adhikara has good knowledge, but its realization is not perfect. That although he does have a general sense that everyone is ultimately meant to be the devotee of the Supreme Lord, and he tries to use everything in the service of Krishna, aware that everything belongs to Krishna, he may be bewildered by association with atheistic men. That's what Madhvacharya says. And then it's further explored here. Madhvacharya states, Acharyam eva samstitam vishnum ghatva tadanyatra naiva chanati ya puman. A kanistha adhikari has no idea that the Supreme Lord has the power to exist outside the church or temple. So it means we go to the temple and we chant, we think of Krishna, we worship Krishna, and then we go outside the temple and we go to our work and we forget Krishna. That's kanistha. A kanistha has no idea that the Supreme Lord has the power to exist outside the church or temple. Furthermore, being puffed up by his own ceremonial worship, Atmano Bhakti Darpata, a kanistha adhikar cannot imagine that anyone is more pious or religious than he, and is not even aware that other devotees are more advanced. So that's the beginner. That's the beginning stage of kanistha. Thus, he cannot understand the madhyam and uttam standard of devotional service, and sometimes, because of his false pride, he criticizes the more advanced devotees of the Lord, neglects them, or simply has no understanding of their exalted position as preachers or completely self-realized souls. So that is, I've seen that. Therefore, one should not take prematurely initiation. That is not good. I've seen the devotees receiving initiation who were certainly not on the level, get first initiation, but the guru wants to be merciful and hope they will advance, and that this is right. That's okay. And that, but then we see that the guru relationship, disciple and guru relationship, is not really correct from the side of the disciple. That because he's still a neophyte, and he thinks, my Guru Maharaj, yeah, I feel inspired by his lectures, and as long as I feel inspired, it's okay. But then he meets someone else, and he think, oh, it's more inspired to hear from this devotee. So he stops listening to his spiritual master. so the motives are not pure. That so we have to be very careful with that. It's better to wait and to make a little more advancement before receiving an initiation. So furthermore, being puffed up by his own ceremonial worship, a kanistha adhikara cannot imagine that anyone is more pious or religious than he. He is not even aware that other devotees are more advanced. I was also in that stage in the beginning. I joined Radhadesh. I was already chanting for 4 years, thinking myself that I was a devotee. And when I joined Radhadesh, I came out of the material world. You felt very happy, and was very nice the first weeks. But then in my mind, things came back, that things came back into my mind, material desires from which I was thinking they were gone for good, but they came back. So I was thinking, what happened? I was thinking maybe these devotees are not very pure, and I'm associating with low-fallen devotees. That's why I'm. But that's why these material desires come back. That was very offensive, of course. So Krishna arranged that I left the temple for some time, for some reason. That's the whole story. But what happens when you come in association of devotees? Like you have a glass with water, and the glass of water, at the bottom there is sand. The sand is your anarthas. And you start to associate with devotees like taking a spoon, and you start to stir, and all that sand comes up, and you become and you start to become aware of your anarthas. And that's a good sign. That then you have to work on it. Most people are not aware of it. But that is what's happening through association of devotees. Thus, he cannot understand that the Madhyama Uttam standard of devotional service, and sometimes, because of false pride, criticizes the more advanced devotees of the Lord. So that is the point, and that's very dangerous, because you don't know who is advanced and not. You are attracted by external features, by charisma, by so many things, and you cannot understand who is advanced and who is not advanced. And I've seen, we see also positions or achievements, but the most advanced devotee is the one who stay at the background, who didn't say much, and who are humbly serving, that who have a very good humble service attitude. But as neophyte, we don't understand it. We see the external things. Dus you cannot understand the Madhyam or Uttam standard of devotional service. Sometimes he criticizes or neglects them, or simply has no understanding of their exalted position as preachers or completely self-realized souls. So we are going to learn here the characteristics so that we don't make that error, even if we are neophyte. So here we have another system of the kanistha adhikara. Are there any questions so far? Yeah, but
Just one technical question, Maharaj. Thank you for going so detailed. So even if they like devotee in different levels, they can be in like if can there be a kanishta adhikari in bhava as well as madhyam adhikari on the bhava?
no, that's not possible.
Not possible. Okay.
Now, the kanistha adhikara is mostly in the realm of bhajana kriya, and because he performs already devotional service, and if he's advanced, it becomes really advanced as a kanistha, he enters anartha nivritti. Not before that because you need to give up your offensive mentality to enter anartha nivritti. So one can chant for 5 years, 10 years, and still not entering anartha nivritti because the 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 the, the false or the mentality of offensive mentality is still there in the heart. And that was explained in the previous paragraph. Making offenses towards devotees out of ignorance. Especially the first offense is the most dangerous offense. Criticizing devotees. That's the mad elephant offense. But yes, if one follows properly the process of devotional service under the guidance of a spiritual master, it doesn't need to take 10 years before you are anartha nivritti. After a few years, you will enter anartha nivritti. It's not that you chant with an offense mentality that your heart does not become purified, but very little. It doesn't go forward really. So yes, does that clarify?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah, something else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you. This is very interesting topics to look into. At what stage does the devotee go beyond criticizing others?
Yeah. So that's a good question. At what stage goes the devotee beyond criticizing? That happens when the offensive mentality disappears from the heart. And what is the symptom? Prочитанието Трината Пишнечната Ура Пишна Манна Манадна Киртания Садари. Наданам Начанна Sundaram Kavtavashi Kami Mamacha Mamicha Mamishve Bhavata Bhaktir Ahai Tiki Tvai. So this is the third and fourth verse of Shikshastakam, which explains the internal mood of someone who is at least in the process of giving up these offenses. And so if you are more humbled than a straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all prestige, false prestige, ready to give all prestige to others, all honor to others, in such a state of mind, one can chant holy name constantly. So then one start to chant the holy name. You can concentrate on the holy name. That because if you have an offensive mentality, it's difficult to concentrate. Because offensive means attachment and aversion in the mind, and it goes from one side to another, and you cannot concentrate. And that so this is, of course, to develop this internal mood. We should also hear Bhagavatam. Hearing the Bhagavatam helps us to establish this mood, and thus the mood of a servant of Krishna, Krishna Das. And Shivera Shrupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. We are eternal servants of Krishna. If you come in that mood, then you can chant the holy name surely without offenses, and then you come to anartha nivritti. That so that is what is required, and hearing Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita helps us to develop that mood. That then the chanting becomes like someone who feels helpless and takes shelter of Krishna. That so then one comes to the point. The kanistha thinks I become a devotee, but as long as you think you are a devotee, but you have so many anarthas in your life, in your heart, that's wrong. That a devotee means thinking of Krishna all the time. That devotion in the mind. That devotion develops after the purification of the mind, of the heart. It develops already before. That as you give up your anarthas, attachment, and then as anarthas go, devotion develops, and that. So this is part of the process, and that. So when do we give up these offenses? Give up these offenses if we act as a servant of Krishna. And what is the internal mood? Lord Chaitanya explains that's the mood of a servant. That, but then we realize, yeah, I'm not here to devotee, and because I cannot think of Krishna constantly with love. I don't have love for Krishna. Then I realize I'm a fool, a great fool, and that, and then you start. If you realize that, you start to make advancement to anartha nivritti. Does that help, Jagannath Sharantam? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. So we will continue next week with this topic of the kanistha adhikara and try to understand this more deeply. We are going deep in it, but you will certainly benefit by this knowledge, understanding more deeply the process of devotional service, how it works, and understand on what level we are. Thank you very much. I wish you a good evening. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you
Hare
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.